Hey everybody, this is Kelly of Rojo Chief Clothing, and as you see right here, this is my Instagram, and I'm going to click on my link tree. That's going to send you to all of my links: Anchor.fm, the YouTube channel that you already know about, my online clothing store, and my Facebook page, so you can follow me. All right, so Anchor.fm, that's my podcast. So stories or news that I'm not going to post on YouTube, you can find them on my podcast, and you can listen to them on Spotify and also on Breaker and other, podcasts. Okay. Then, as you may or may not know, this is my online clothing store where you can find fashions on here for men, women, kids, and babies. So, let's get ready for the show. Hey everybody, this is Kelly of Rojo Chief Clothing, and today we're going to talk about one of my ancestors, where my surname, family name comes from. It is McAlpine, but originally McAlpine was McAlpin, and one of the spellings of McAlpine was MacAlpin, but in my particular family, it was spelled McAlpin, McAlpin, but it's still the same family, nonetheless. Now, on this website here, they have some information about the history of where it comes from and where the heritage is from. And also, there's some information also in another book. But for now, we're just going to concentrate on the information that's on here. It says, Black Scotchan, a 1,000-year occupation, must be one of the most successful in history. This is an investigation of the supposed Scottish royal houses of the Bruces and the Stuarts, who were promoters of the Knights Templar in Scotland. I'll also be investigating the supposed origins of Kenneth McAlpin, the first king of Picts and Scots. It's not for no reason that the Scots aren't taught their own history in school. The Scottish readers may also be startled to discover that their roots, far from stemming in Ireland as generally thought, might lie in the lands as far away of Egypt, Greece, and Spain. Now, the reason why they mention these countries is because in the book, which is called Ancient and Modern Britons, Volume 1, they talk about the Scots had invaded, I believe it was the island at that time was called Alba or Dalrata, and the indigenous people that was there, the black indigenous people there, was called the Celtic peoples and the Picts. And according to the book, a Pictish princess had married King Alpin, but King Alpin was supposed to have been a descendant of Mary Aten, the daughter of Akhenaten and Nefertiti, so that's the Egyptian connection. But Mary Aten, her husband, was supposed to have been a black Greek king, so that's the Greek connection to the Scottish royal family of McAlpine. Okay, so that's what that comes from. So anyway, let's continue to read down. And I'm going to get to this particular part right here. It says the Black Scots. A curious aspect of this early history concerns various stories around Kenneth. King Kenneth was also known as Kenneth the Niger, or Kenneth Dub, a surname which means black man. It is a matter of history that many seafaring warriors were North African, traveled via Iberia into Europe. Now, Iberia, the Iberian Peninsula, which is Spain and also Portugal, that it is a known fact that the Celtic peoples, that they were a black people and black aborigines, and that they did migrate from out of the area, what we know today as Spain and Portugal, that they migrated from there and they had populated Ireland and Scotland. That's part of the history. Okay, so Celtic people. So let's continue on. And it says, enjoying many cultures and held power and position, Niagara Valdub lived and reigned over certain black divisions in Scotland, and some history state that a race known as the Sons of the Black succeeded him. J.A. Rogers, Sex and Race. It says Kenneth III was the King of Scotland from the year 997 to 1005. He was the son of King Dub. 962 through the year 967, the fourth cousin of the previous king, Constantine III. Now you know, Constantine was an emperor of the Roman Empire. Now, when I previously read from the book Ancient and Modern Britons, Volume 1, I didn't understand the connection of why a relative of King Dub, aka Kenneth McAlpin, why his name was Constantine. But by having ancestry from Greece, then that would make a lot of sense, because the Greek Empire was greatly involved and enmeshed with the Roman Empire. So to me, that makes a lot of sense. Now, looking back on it. So it says the fourth cousin of the previous king, Constantine III, and the first cousin of his successor, Malcolm II. Kenneth was the last king of Scotland to succeed to the throne through the tanistry system, whereby the succession was shared between two family lines, and the dying king named his successor from the other family line. This system led to the constant struggle between the ruling families and was abandoned. Kenneth and his son Garrick were both killed at Mosivart Tayson in 1005. His first cousin Malcolm succeeded him and abolished the tanistry system by killing all of his male descendants. However, Kenneth had a granddaughter, Gurich, via his daughter Beat, whose first husband was Gigli Comgan, and they had a son named Lulach, who then married King Macbeth I of Scotland, becoming Lady Macbeth. On the death of Macbeth, her son, via her first marriage, Kenneth III's great-grandson succeeded to the throne to become King Lelouch of Scotland. According to this history, the blood of Kenneth flows through the royal houses of Scotland. Whether Dub meant black or as in North African or Southern European, we will never know for sure. Okay, so in other words, what they're saying is that he can't confirm whether if it was indigenous black people or if it was from North Africa, coming from by way of Egypt or some other place in North Africa. Okay, so I guess that's what he's trying to say right there. Now, in this video here, I talked about my own lineage that was handed down to me from my grandfather, from what he knew. And I'm going to play some of this video for you so that you can see. It's called Amalgamation, Race Mixing in the American Indian Nations, Volume 3. Okay. Hey everybody, this is Kelly, and I'm going to talk to you today about racial mixing in this part 3 of Amalgamation, Racial Mixing in the Indian Nations. Now, as you know, my last name is Scottish, and my grandfather, I remember him saying that we were part Irish, but I'm thinking we had to be part Scottish as well because of our last name, and plus because of the blood type that my dad and my granddad had was A, which is, I know, is a mutation from O. But anyways, there's some books, or there's a book out here that a man had made, and it was talking about how the American Indians had migrated in ancient days over to Ireland and Scotland, and that the Picts were originally people that were of American Indian descent. Okay, guys. Okay, so now let's see. It says, while investigating the origins of the people of Scotland in the Bauer manuscript, the Scotty says Shaustrion, she discovers the story of Scotta, the Egyptian princess and daughter of a pharaoh who fled from Egypt with her husband Gaithrios, with a large following of people who arrived in a fleet of ships. They settled in Scotland for a while amongst the natives. Now the natives, I believe they're talking about, are the Picts, the Pictish people. It says until they were forced to leave and landed in Ireland, where they formed the Scoti, and their kings became the high kings of Ireland. And it says in later centuries, they returned to Scotland, defeating the Picts. So here is an image of Queen Elizabeth, and she's claiming to be a descendant of Kenneth McAlpin. It says the Queen can lay claim to descent from Kenneth McAlpin, King of Scots, through her descent from Malcolm III's two daughters, Matilda, born Edith, who married Henry I of England, and Mary, Countess of Boulogne, whose descendants were Dukes of Brabant and Counts of St. Paul. And as you see here, it says Sally Sage McAlpin Hall. Sally Sage McAlpin Hall was built in 1973. The upper class residence hall was named for the woman who was then chairperson of the Board of Trustees. Now, I think the reason why they allowed her to be on the Board of Trustees probably had to do a lot with the history of the name, and that whoever organized Spelman University back in the day, that they probably were connected to a lot of the aristocratic families that happened to be of Black European ancestry, especially Black Europeans who descended from royalty. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, considering the fact also that they also have a hall named after the Rockefellers, which we know is a European family that is very rich in the United States. And right here you see it says McAlpine Creek Park, Mecklenburg County Park and Recreation Department. So this is another connection to the last name. And then there is a city that's named McAlpin. As you see here, it says McAlpin is an unincorporated community in Suwannee County, Florida, United States. McAlpin is located on U.S. Route 129, 11 miles south of Live Oak. McAlpin has a post office with the zip code of 32062. So, you have that, and then you see it's a street called McAlpin Road, and then there's a McAlpin Community Center, and then you have McAlpin Country Kitchen, you see. So, and I believe that all of this is because of what the name is connected to, that it is a name of royalty coming from Scotland. I think that's the reason why this city exists, and also the reason why a hall at Spelman College is also named after a McAlpin, and then why you also have McAlpine Park, which also exists in Alabama. And then I showed you the sign of the park. And then you have here an image of the Blackfoot Indians on the roof of McAlpin Hotel refusing to sleep in their rooms, New York City. Okay, so that's an image right there. And then they have images right here of the hotel. They said it's at 34th Street and Broadway in New York. And then we have another image of the Blackfoot Indians on top of the hotel. Okay, and I look at that as also being symbolic of how the McAlpin family, how they wanted to integrate and did integrate and mix in with the American Indians. Now, this is the history of my own family. This is my great-great-grandfather, Louis McAlpin, as you see, born 1815. And it says, according to what they say on here, on Ancestry.com, they're saying that in 1815, it was a Creek War. When the Creek Indian Nation went to war in 1813, Louis McAlpin lived in their territory. So I'm thinking that since my ancestor, Louis McAlpin, was born in their territory, that he may have had some Indian ancestry coming from the Creek Indian Nation. So that's one connection to the Indian Nation, to one of the Indian nations that the McAlpin bloodline made a connection to in my family. Now, as you see here, it says McAlpin, but it's spelled differently. It's spelled with the E instead of an I, but more than likely it's probably from the same family. And then you see Mariah, it says 8, female, moderate, Kansas, daughter of Mary Walker. See her name and remarks. Mariah wishes her name and family placed on the tribal list. Then you have Nicholas McAlpine, male, moderate, Kansas, husband of Mariah McAlpine, spelled with the I. And then you have them spelling it with the E. More than likely it's the same family. McAlpin Robert L., male, moderate, Kansas, son of Mariah McAlpine. And this was a part of, as you see here, the Wyandotte Tribal Roll of 1867. Now you see the importance of knowing your family history and how it connects to your indigenous American Indian history. And when you do your genealogy, you'll probably find a lot of information. Also, when you start looking into the deep history of these surnames and family names that you have on your tree. If you like this video, please drop me a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you can know when I drop a new video. Thank you.